Everything is political when you're a woman. But of course, I didn't know that as a 7th grade girl sitting in Mrs. Marchani's science class. I knew she must have a love for huge sweaters, it was the 90s, because she had about a dozen of them hanging from her office door. And I didn't understand why until the day that I needed a sweater. I unexpectedly got my period in class, and she came over, and the kind teacher gave me one of her giant sweaters to wrap around my waist to wear for the rest of the day to avoid shame. From that day forward, when I saw other girls with the sweater, we kind of gave that glance that understood what happened. So for me, when I think about it, every menstruator has that story of getting a period when you weren't prepared, especially at school. So take this story to 25 years later. Mrs. Marchani's sweaters and her kindness were on my heart when a student in my own 7th grade classroom bled through their clothing, and they experienced bullying because of it. How could it be, though, in my brain, I didn't have a larger strategy toolbox for dealing with the situation than I did when I was 12 years old? Well, my friends, that's because everything's political when you're a woman of any age, and perhaps no part of us is more political than the fight for reproductive justice. Sister Song, the Women of Color Reproductive Justice Coalition, defines reproductive justice as the following. It's the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent children we have in safe and sustainable communities. Access to menstrual products and menstrual education are both parts of the reproductive justice movement. So I didn't have any sweaters in my classroom that day, but I did comfort the student, and I tried to calm the friends who wanted to confront the bullies. I did what my teacher training taught me, and that was just start asking questions. I made my students think, which got them to researching, and they started questioning me back, which I wasn't ready for either. We learned about period poverty. Period poverty is not being able to afford safe and clean period products when you need them. We learned that many menstruating students would stay home sick from school when they didn't have access to these products. So again, my students, Miss, a student asked, if 50% of the population gets periods, then why don't we have period products at school? From the mouths of babes, am I right? Right? What I want you to know is that middle schoolers are the most amazing humans. They are true to themselves, and they are becoming daily. I told them that was the right question, and we set off on an epic journey to solve it. First, we solved it locally by crowdfunding menstruation stations at our school. These stations were simple boxes with a variety of bagged period products and supplies so that every student who needed supplies could get them for free. We made menstrual care kits with extra wipes and undies, pads and supplies, with inspirational messages for middle schoolers by middle schoolers like, Happy Shark Week. And blood sacrifices aren't for the weak, you are powerful. But then those middle school questions. Miss, my sister goes to another school and they don't have menstruation stations. What do we do for her? Yikes. More Googling taught us that in 2019, New Hampshire had passed a bill for free period products in all public schools. So they just looked at me and said, yeah, miss, let's do that. Oh, okay, let's do that. If being a woman is political, being a woman is also often about saying yes to the universe and figuring the rest out later. As luck would have it, I had recently met Hawaiʻi State Representative Amy Peruso, a former public school teacher, so I sent her an email with our story, and she called me eager to help. So in 2020, we did have a bill at the Hawaiʻi State Legislature for free period products in all public schools. It was being heard, and it was moving through the legislative process. School buses, if you didn't know, are hard to find and very expensive for under-resourced public schools like mine. So I registered my car as a school bus for each hearing and took the 4 kids we could safely fit inside of it. So we had epic Hamilton karaoke parties on the way to the legislature each time. One of the students told the Committee on Education if they came to class without a pencil, The teacher would just give him a pencil. So she said, why isn't it the same for pads and tampons? Aren't those school supplies too? Yay. So that became our mantra. Period products are school supplies. We made posters and signs saying that and brought them to the Capitol. The bill was doing great until the pandemic hit. And when the legislature closed, all the bills died. We were encouraged to come back next year, and we did, only to be completely and utterly crushed. But that despite our just growing coalition, advocacy, and efforts, we couldn't even get the bill a hearing in 2021. Why, my friends? You already know. Because everything's political when you're a... Often I'll be asked, Millie, why didn't you just ask the Department of Education for these products? We definitely did. Leaders would smile and nod and forget our conversations. It was talked about, but I don't think they expected us to keep going with the issue. I got word that I was being discussed as that teacher was at it again by district leaders. Yep, they got me. Are there any other oldest daughters here? Oldest daughters. Woo! Aloha, friends. So the most likely way that oldest daughters will absolutely make something happen is if you tell us we can't do it, right? Plus, with my students being brave enough at 12 years old to talk about their periods, I had to be brave enough to persist. So when I saw those leaders, I just joked and said that I'd see them at the legislature. Also, to be honest, being ignored by the higher-ups helped me to connect to another important organization in my life, and that's my union. Sisters, a woman's place is absolutely in her union. When my bosses wouldn't fight for us, I found the teachers that would. So many teachers came out to support our bills and educate the public. The Hawaiʻi State Teachers Association connected us with legislators and media and helped get our story told. The best way to justice, especially in a pink-collar profession like mine, is through solidarity. We take care of each other. During the 2021 session, trying everything we could to get our bill a hearing, we connected with the incredible Native Hawaiian sisters who created the Mai'i Movement. Mai'i Movement is the only island-wide charity organization that supplies period products and education to those who need it. We learned what we needed was data and a lot of public health education, and I knew that part I could help with. Mai'i Movement hosted menstruation station pilots at campuses around the state, and they commissioned a study that would change our work and the movement. And what our data found was disturbing. When Hawaiʻi students did not have access to period products, they'd use some of the following items instead: tissue, newspaper, folder paper, baby diapers, socks, and leaves to make period products if they didn't have access. Well, resourceful at the moment, these items could lead students to getting sick, which was absolutely unacceptable, and it was on the adults to then take action. The news picked up the Mai'i Movement studies, and we were going into the 2022 legislation with good energy. Most of this work was being done by my after-school club, our school's Gay Straight Alliance. We had studied about how art helped queer movements, so we put energy into some activist art. My students created a mascot called Patty the Pad. Patty was a giant cardboard cutout adorned with sparkly red blood and googly eyes that we brought to the Capitol. They could see us coming. We made glittery cardboard blood drops that said, "Mahalo for being a bloody good legislator." That the kids, it was pretty, kids are amazing. The kids delivered to the Capitol office, and it gives me joy years later to enter the offices and still see those drops, so look for them when you're there. Many of my kids also made period-related jewelry, and I would model their earrings at the hearings. Our art got us attention, which helped the cause. But also, I wasn't ready for the insults and accusations that would come my way. I was called a groomer and a pedophile for talking about periods with students. My open support of my LGBTQ+ students and being willing to say that in the media has gotten threats directed at my job, including, dear listeners, just last night after I did an HNN story about Honolulu Pride. So I need you all to understand that education, especially now, is just as political as being a woman. Please support your local public school teachers. The name calling continued. A woman on Twitter said, "You can tell what kind of person she is by her earrings." And while I knew what she meant, she wasn't really wrong. And I'm actually wearing some of these earrings for you tonight. They are also metallic bloody pads. Earrings have become one of my favorite discussion starter pieces. Art, even the wearable kind, gets important conversations started, and you all know that what a woman wears is also political. Our hard work, coalition building, and educating the public helped our bill for free period products in all public schools be passed and signed into law by Governor Ige in 2022. Yeah. When I think back to our work, education absolutely was the answer. Women aren't taught about our own bodies, so those with different bodies know even less about us. Our textbooks lied even about the look of our reproductive systems. In one meeting with a legislator that I will never forget, he lectured my students about how kids, those taxpayers, can't pay for everything. He added, "Why do girls need these products for only, quote, 1 day a month?" I gave my students that teacher mom look that said we would debrief on his very ignorant comments later. Most of the students who worked on that bill are graduating high school soon, and they message me quite frequently about their fears that after all our work, we're losing the fight for reproductive justice in our state and country. I feel it. You feel it, I'm sure, but I can't let them or you, dear listeners, be swallowed by the darkness. Last year, oh, sorry, Poppy. Last year, I have to tell you this story because I need us to understand the power of this work. A boy came to my classroom on my lunch break. He wasn't in my classes that semester, so I was surprised to see him. He was an athlete, he was about a head taller than me, and he was one of the popular boys on campus. He even made eye contact with me when he said the following: "Hey, miss, my girlfriend texted me from the restroom. She's having a heavy day. Can you give me the right pad for that?" Never, like in all the work and all the time. That, my friends, is reproductive justice in play. It's political and it doesn't happen by accident. It's education, it's advocacy, and it's building a future generation of empathetic partners. It's the same way women fought for the legalization of mifepristone, the pill that saved my reproductive system from a traumatic twin miscarriage in 2020 and is now at risk of being taken off the market. It's the same way women fought for access to fertility coverage and IVF care that after 10 years of infertility allowed me to become a mom twice. That is reproductive justice too. You see, the writer Ursula Wolf-Rocca says, quote, "It can be overwhelming to witness, experience, and take in all the injustices of the moment. The good news is they're all connected. So if your little corner of the work involves it pulling at one of those threads, you're helping to unravel the whole damn cloth." Thank you. Incrementalism can and does often lead to justice, and it's our only way forward. So I'm a teacher, and here's your homework. On your drive home, have a chat about periods. Does your partner know what brands of products you buy? Is your daughter ready for when the period fairy comes to your house? Does your son know about the menstrual cycle? Does your school, faith community, or workplace have menstruation stations? Could you make some if they don't? Is perimenopause keeping you awake? Those are all justice conversations that we need to have. That education and open communication unravels systems of shame that we must shake off to move forward, because if everything is political when you're a woman, to build the world we want to see, where boyfriends get pads for their girlfriends and women can care for their bodies, we must seek reproductive justice in solidarity and not be afraid of being political.